Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Blackout. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And as always, folks, I am in.
Here we go. God damn.
Airplane mode, and I am joined by the biggest, the baddest, the blackest, the meanest, the one and only heavyweight that cannot wait. I am talking about Uncle Bobby himself. Give it up for Robert, motherfucking Reed. And he's a family man.
Now that I got the new setup here, you got to throw in a little something for the picture of the Padres in the background.
Absolutely, man.
It's their fault that y'all have to deal with me. So
love
you
it,
guys
love it, man. Love it, man. Appreciate it.
Yep,
All right.
yep.
We have got a great show lined up for you guys today. We are talking about 5 ways that toxic black church culture is harmful to black people. All right, Bob, you know the joke. The computer freezes, just wax. I'll be right back.
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you, I think this is the best part about not knowing what the topic is right until kickoff, because this is going to be a motherfucker. Because I think we both have some experience.
Some lived experience.
Yeah, and it's just like I look back at my walk as a Christian in the black church, and holy shit, it's cringeworthy. It's cringeworthy just to sit here and think, I can't believe I used to be a Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the record, they're gonna be talking about my grandfather's church and my grandmother's church and my auntie's church and all them folks. And unfortunately, a lot of my family is still in the black church, and I think the black church is so central to their identity that it's like they've given their life to Christ. They've made their public profession of space and faith. And the one thing I will say about black people in their faith is, and it's kind of a downside, but they're ride or die, man.
100%.
It's like
100%.
They're not fucking around. The church is serious.
It's there really doesn't seem to be a 50-mile-an-hour switch with us. It's you're either on this side with you and I, or you are slingshotted all the way fuck over there. And it's just there really doesn't seem to be a middle ground. Yeah, you're either all the way on or you were all the way off with this bullshit.
Yeah, and we're gonna let the video roll. I wonder how much the things they're talking about are going to be explicitly to the culture. But one thing I will say that I think harms us in the broader picture is the idea that you have to be in the black church. I mean, it's like this whole notion. I always say that, and this is just a perception, but that, if you're not in the black community and you decide to be an atheist, okay, it just means that you don't believe in God. But in the black community, there's this idea that a good black man is, we've heard this expression before, y'all, serious about his relationship with the Lord. And so it's literally this idea that you cannot be a black man unless Jesus is the head of your. Think about that. You can't be a good person. You just it's precluded. Only the men who real serious about jerking Jesus off 24/7 get to get into the marriage pool.
Absolutely. I remember it was right after my divorce, and it's like, I think I'm going to try this whole dating thing. It should be terrible. Right. And I remember one of the ladies that was trying to coach me through it. And of course, I'm in the Bible Belt, so we stumbled across religion. A good place to meet him is in church. Make sure you tell him. I was like, I don't. I'm an atheist, so I don't get down like that. And she pretty much straight up told me that my chances of finding a significant other where I live, I've cut that by this huge fraction. And the fucked up thing is, she was right. She was
Absolutely.
right. It
She was
doesn't
absolutely
matter
right.
the list of superlatives. You can
Right.
treat her like a goddess. You can respect the shit out of her views, love her family. You could have more money. It doesn't matter. You've got that one strike against you, and that is you don't believe in God. And it's like, well, what kind of raggedy shit is that? Yeah, but I'm fully willing, to love you, to honor you, to do whatever I have to do to make sure that this relationship is fucking solid. Well, how do you do that without Jesus? If you give me a chance, I'll show you. No, that one strike
Yes.
was more than enough. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Randy says, listening while he's getting paid double time. Hey, you're having a good Sunday, Randy. Sounds like a hell of a time.
Yo.
All right, cheers, gang. Let's all tip this one back.
All right.
We're about to talk about some serious. You can see where we're at in our status. Cousin Jay is down here with the red Solo cup.
With the Solo cup. I'm a damn Uncle Bobby knew it was going to be sitting on some bullshit. Yep. Oh, the fucking Seagrams. Oh.
Uncle Bobby's got the game day tumbler, and what kind of fancy gin are you drink? Uncle Bobby's Army Special.
Today is I pulled the Bombay. I've got a Bombay and I've got 2 Tanquerays up there. I branched out a little bit. So
all right, gang. How many of y'all are gin drinkers? Just let us know. Just drop us in the chat. Drop a gin or gin affirmative if you're a gin person. Just out of curiosity. All right, now let me see if I have the protocol down here. So first, what you do is you Autobots transform.
Transform.
Boom.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Then you got to blow up Shuate.
You got to blow up Shuate.
Okay. And then we can roll
out.
out.
Hey, it's your girl Amma, and I am back with another video. Today's video is very important for me to make. And before you unsubscribe, just hear me out. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 ways toxic black church culture actually hurts black people and black women in particular. But before we get started, let me introduce myself. I am Amma Aya, also known as the Do Less Doula. I teach women how to actually do less, live more, and birth a life of ease and abundance. I'm a conscious living coach, and I teach you how to use your time of rest and healing to really create and manifest a life that you desire and deserve.
Pause the tape. I love it how we're just going to sit here and act like this woman is just drop dead gorgeous. I'm trying to fucking focus on what she's saying. She could have been saying, I think that Cousin Jay and Uncle Bobby are both sitting on some bullshit. I hope their channel crashes. I hope they both suffer from chronic halitosis, incurable impotence. I think they're both a bunch of fuckfaces. And I just would have said, like, God damn, okay. I'm going to try and focus. This is going to be difficult.
Yeah, well, if not, you need to call her because she can help you work on how to consciously, concentrate and do more while doing less and all of this.
Yeah, let's concentrate.
Please hit the subscribe button, tap the notification bell, like this video so that more people
I'll do whatever
can see
you tell
it,
me
and
to
share
do.
a comment.
Whatever you tell. Yes, ma'am.
So
yes, mistress.
Right
okay, yes.
So before we get started with 5
let's go ahead.
ways
Let's go ahead and like and subscribe real quick.
Black church actually harms black people.
Gang, this might even this woman might be a Christian. I've seen some of these videos and then they're like, and I'm gonna tell you why I go to the white church. And you're like, oh my goodness.
If she sat here and said, I'm a Ku Klux Klan member, I'd be like, baby, what seems to be the problem? God damn. Yeah, let me try to focus.
Look, I say you take them sheets off, getting these sheets. You know what I'm talking about? This sheets exchange.
Exactly. In particular, now mind you, every black church is not like this. I want you to understand that this is not to bash religion. This is not to attack the fact that you may be religious. Chapel. That's not what this video is about. But we just want to critically analyze something that actually, in my opinion, harms many black communities. I just want to do a really quick rundown of the history of the black church. So the history of the black church has a very warm and sacred place in my heart. Why? Because as enslaved African Americans, we were unable to read and write. And so the church is really where we got our sense of self. It's where we got our information. It was our CNN, our 1010 wins, where we were able to come get upliftment in terms of our situation, and then hear ways or hear things that were being done to actually get out of slavery. So a lot of grassroots movements came through the black church, such
Pause
as
the
the
tape.
abolitionist
Pause the
movement.
tape. Pause it. Go ahead.
There's nothing that she's saying that is not 100% spot on and factual. The church was our sanctuary. It was our safe place. It was one of the few, if not the only, I mean, it probably was, because even your slave quarters back then were not safe. Shit, today, Amber Geiger broke into the home of Botham Jean and shot that man in his house. And half this country felt sorry for her. So in a lot of ways, the church was your only safe place. It was where you went and you learned kind of the code, right? If you were going to escape,
Yep.
you just can't say, hey, we're leaving this motherfucker at 12 midnight. You learned the code language in the church. And yeah, I'll be the first one to admit, and none of us are above this. When everything that you have sucks,
Right.
and the only escape that you think is waiting for this life to end so that you can enjoy the next. The church promised you that, right? It's like, oh man, we're not escaping this slavery shit. So I'm going to tell you what, let's just get down on this Jesus thing. And then paradise will be better than the bullshit we have here in Biloxi, Mississippi. So again, there's nothing that she's saying that's not 100% spot on.
Yeah.
Back then, that was your only sanctuary, because even your bedroom, you weren't safe from the white man then. So she's right.
And I also think it plays an important role. Like I come from a family where there's generations of ministers, and they've shown me the photos of, so this generation, then this generation, then this generation, then this generation, then this generation. And when they get to this generation, they're like, this is the plantation they were on. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're like, literally, our family has been ministering since the plantation. And I do think, I have a suspicion, I'll never be able to know because I'll never be able to go back and interview my ancestor slave owner. But I believe that part of maybe the upward mobility of my family that even I benefited from may have started with them teaching them to read and write. Right, because if you were the slaves that were taught to read and write, so you could minister to the other slaves, it could have been a whole house Negro type situation. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know this, but it's reasonable. If you've been ministering that long and it goes back that far, then it's reasonable to suspect that maybe they were ministers. And so that is. But here's the thing: it feels like starting a 6 or 7 chapter book at chapter 3 or 4 and skipping the beginning and skipping the end, right? Because we should also acknowledge how Christianity was forced on us. And we became Christians because it was the master's religion. And it was great that we bonded and came up with, escape plans and how to, revolutionize and organize and all of that in the church. But we were doing that because they wouldn't have us amongst them. They wouldn't have us in their church. And then fast forward to now, it's like the same thing has happened. People are saying Sunday morning is the most segregated time in America. And so she's absolutely right. And especially if you delve into like the civil rights movement, you will find, I think that's why Martin Luther King was a minister, right? That was where black people could be elevated, could have some status, could have teaching roles, could be seen as community leaders. And now, just as then, when the politicians and the people in power come through the black community, they're going to the church to talk to the ministers. So she's definitely right about everything she said, but we also have to acknowledge why that was the case. To me, that is not a good mark on the church. And the other thing I will say, and this is a really hard thing to say, especially to black people, the church may have been instrumental in our organization, in our liberation, and all that good stuff, but that won't make it true.
Oh yeah.
And
Absolutely.
just because generations past have relied on the church for community sustenance does not mean that that's the way we should be going for future
Yep.
generations.
Yep.
And
It
to
was good
me,
for the time that was good in.
exactly. And to me, this is the contract that like never ends. Kind of like slavery.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's roll some tape.
Let's see.
The suffrage movement. So movements began in the black church and then they spilled out into society. And that's really how the black church became the pillar of black life, the pillar of our existence, because we needed it in order to gain information and
Hey Liz, hey
to
Paul, you get to see
strategically make
everybody.
plans on how we can better our situation. So now I'm going to fast forward to 2022 and the toxic culture that now exists in many black churches, which turns off people such as myself and a lot of the younger generation. There's a whole movement now to divest from religion and divest from these places of worship. Number one, the first way that toxic black church culture hurts us is it makes us lazy. And what do I mean by that? Because that can be a trigger.
Yeah, it is a trigger.
Reinforces slave mentality by making us believe that we don't have the power to change our lives right now. In church,
Correct.
church always teaches us that something is outside of our personal control.
Yep.
The toxic black
Pause
church
the
culture
tape.
always
Pause the
Yeah,
has
yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Uncle Bobby.
One of my favorite quotes of all time, Frederick Douglass. What was it? I kept praying for freedom, but it never came until I started praying with my feet. And yeah, and it's I love that because again, it's funny how it is, how prayer, how God, all that stuff always seems to walk hand in hand with real world solutions, right? If you are overweight, dear God, please, I've got diabetes, I've got high blood pressure, I'm in a risk for a stroke, I'm not going to see my kids grow up, you know, I'm 5'2" and 600 pounds. That prayer doesn't mean a goddamn thing. Then you start getting on an exercise program. Then you start eating what's going to be considered a more sensible amount of calories. Then you're like, oh, my prayer worked. I'm healthy now. I get to see my family grow. In that respect, I 100% see where she's coming from. It does. I think if she's going down the road, I think she's about to go down, it does make us lazy. And that, what kept us in bondage back in those days? That book that they still wave at us today.
Absolutely.
And I know, Christians, I'm taking it all out of context, but what you guys don't seem to understand is the exact same verse that the slavers used, the abolitionists used. That book was used to keep us ignorant, quiet, and enslaved. So, I mean, I think she's about to say exactly what I think she's going to say, but yeah, it keeps us lazy because it keeps us dependent on this savior that, shock and surprise, is never going to show the fuck up and help us out.
Right. And then when we do take the actions and we do put in the work and we do what we have to do, we give God all the glory.
Yep.
Which again does not teach us our own empowerment, does not teach us that we have the ability to change circumstances. I remember literally feeling like I prayed for God to give me the ability to play. I mean, I did, y'all. I prayed for that. Y'all would be blown away how much I prayed about drumming. But I was a child, and children pray for stupid shit.
Pretty much.
And then you get the gang. I can show you. I still have like electronic drum toys and stuff that I had when I was like 3 or 4 years old. I could show you pictures of me playing drums on them little toy Walmart drum sets as a toddler. Then I started with private lessons in 2nd grade. Gang, please go fuck yourself. Uncle Bobby knows the hours, because he played a sport, the hours that you put in every single day. And the whole time I was like, no, this is God. God has just blessed me with the thing that I prayed the most for, instead of being like, nah, you wanted something, you put time into it your whole life, and now you have the opportunity to be a good musician. And then the other thing is, it goes the other direction too, because when things don't happen, when things aren't happening, when the progress that we need to be made isn't being made, we literally tell ourselves, well, it's okay because it's all part of God's plan. It's all going to work out for his good in the end. And that is another line that, if you buy into that, will lead you to be less motivated, because you will start to think it's all gonna happen without us actually doing it. So this is crazy. All right, let's go ahead and keep it rolling.
Just pray about it. God can change everything. God can heal all things. And I think what really got me is that I would come to church and I would see people basically praying for the same thing for decades. But the reason that I call this toxic is because we all have power. We have individual power to connect directly with our Creator, to change our situation in real time.
All right, gang. All right, did you catch that? To connect with our Creator sounded like she may have left the church but not left religion, or something like that. She got it. She's spiritual.
I caught that, and I'm going to tell you what. My mindset in general applies to this beautiful ass woman as well. And that is, again, if your version of a creator only makes you do good things, I like your creator. And that, because I've seen sermons where a pastor will sit there and preaching to a predominantly LGBTQ plus crowd and say, God is in you. God is you. You are God. It's like, okay, fine. I don't believe that, but if that's what you need to get up and over, God damn it, then get up and over. And if her thing is, we all can connect to our creator. Well, if your creator only makes you do and say good things, I like your creator. I don't think you need that creator, but hey, this beautiful ass woman can do whatever the fuck she wants.
Yeah. Also, I think it's a process, right? And I think, leaving the church is an important part of the process. And it's clear that she's been critical about what was going on in the church based on her experience. And so her experience may just not have led her to, evolution or challenging creationism, or thinking about, is there something wrong with, the God concept, writ large. And sometimes it's just a matter of working through it. She's a beautiful woman. I hope she keeps growing. Like I hope this process keeps going, and I think this is step by step. Because
we'll get another one.
Most of us didn't, leave it all together in like the drop of a dime in one aha moment. It was like a long process, and like you said, a lot of people just don't get there because serving the church was a big part of their life. They leave the church. Now they're doing a lot better. And, it's weird. I just think it's interesting, sort of the contingency that some of us end down this path where we challenge more things, we leave more things. And it's really hard to retrace how we ended up down that path and other people don't. So, it just kind of is what it is.
Yep.
We are always waiting for tomorrow. When you die, you're going to get your mansion in heaven. Why do we have to wait to get a mansion in heaven when we can get a mansion right here on earth right now? If that's something that you really want.
What you want,
why do you feel you need to hold on to a struggle lifestyle on earth just to be rewarded with your mansion in heaven? What that does to us is that keeps us in a belief state that we don't deserve these things on earth. We have to wait until we die to get the things that we deserve.
But pause the tape.
Other races of people enjoy this and that.
But here's the thing, though. That's not just us. That's Christianity. That's belief. And that's why I do those shows where, again, they jerk off to persecution. And when there is none, they have to create it. And it's a contest to see who got kicked in the dick harder.
Absolutely.
Right? Well, I suffered more than you. What, they only kicked you in your dick? You ain't shit. They cut mine off. It is this contest. It is a race to the bottom. And yeah, the more you struggle, the more Christ-like you are. That all those videos I've done, again, you're not a Christian unless you hate. Right? It's like, hey, I just said, hey, you see that gay person? Good to go. I'm going to go buy them a drink. Their response is, they're a fucking faggot. Because when the fucking faggot gets upset and throws a punch, they're like, you see, everyone hates me. You have to struggle to be a Christian. Because again, otherwise, what did Jesus die for? Now, it's all going to be worth it. No, it's not. It's going to be worth it after you die. Then, like she said, then you get, I was taught the exact same thing. You're going to get a mansion after you die. Gang, that's some gangster shit right there.
It is. It really is.
It is. Give me all your money. Give me 10%. Yeah, you living underneath the poverty line. Yeah, give me 10%. Yeah, I can't keep my lights on. But you think you're special? Jesus died for you. He died, and you're worried about getting internet connection? You selfish bitch. Okay, I'm sorry. Here's my 10%.
Right.
Instead of saving your money.
Right.
You give it away to an entity that does not pay property taxes. And their only way to continue to get you to do that is to tell you you are going to literally get a mansion after you die. That is some Al Capone level gangster shit.
And then they keep it real, G, because they roll up on you like, now those are your tithes, but where are your offerings? Because it's about tithes and offerings. You know. And all right, so the other thing that's crazy about this is she's dead on. She's dead on with the way it kills our motivation, the way it doesn't allow us. And this even comes down to, again, gang, the politics. We could actually have a national minimum wage right now. We could actually make sure there are no homeless people right now. We could make sure every kid that wants to has access to a college education right now. And these are the things that will help us make our material lives better. But again, we're committed to struggling, usually watching Christians openly oppose the policies that will make us better. And this is, it even touches on what you said about, the way they hate and judge people. I was listening to a podcast last night, and there was a couple of our trans friends talking to a Christian on there, and the way this person was just so comfortable telling them that they're demonic, that they're satanic, that they're committed to an evil cult that wants to evangelize butt sex. It was literally just go fuck yourself. It was like, fuck this person. But the problem is so many Christians, they're on that tip. And the ones who were not on that tip are literally still saying, but this is the word of God. This is the Holy Bible. I'm still committed to this faith. We can't do this anymore, y'all. I really do believe that we're kind of on this leading edge still. I'm not saying we're the fucking founders. There are clearly people who have been in the atheist movement long before us, but we're still in the leading edge of this thing, and this is one of the most important causes of our time. I really believe that. This Christianity shit really has to go.
It does. Yes, it does.
The here and now. But we are told in toxic black church culture that we need to wait in order to obtain a life of ease, a life of abundance, a life of great joy, a life where our cup is running over with blessings. Why? Why do we have to wait? The poverty mindset is just kind of like woven
Poverty
throughout this whole
mindset.
thing. And it really puts people in a place of learned helplessness. Like they cannot help themselves out of a
Yes.
situation.
Yes. And then they don't do for each other. Like, you know what I mean? Like we need to really focus on helping each other. Even if, like you said, save that 10%, because if you don't think you're gonna need it, your neighbor's gonna need it. I guarantee you. Hard times are coming to somebody, and you could really be a material blessing to a human being and a family that needs that. And instead, you're sending it off. So you're giving it to this church, which doesn't pay taxes, isn't obligated to do anything for anybody.
But you know, the real fucked up thing about that is, again, this is a lose-lose situation for all parties involved. Because even if you save that 10%, one of the first rules of finance that I learned, pay yourself first.
Yes.
Before you pay a credit card, a bank for a car, whatever the fuck, even if it's $10 a month, pay yourself first. Always. That was one of the first things I learned.
Yeah, my mother taught me that too. Yep.
Yeah, pay yourself fucking first. And even if you save that 10% and your next door neighbor is like, I'm ass out. It's like, you know what? Don't worry about it. You handle your basic nut. I'm about to go make some groceries anyway. I'm gonna go get you some eggs, some bologna, some white bread. You're not gonna eat like a king, but you're gonna eat. Yeah, I got that. Even then, you know what their church is gonna say? Jesus gave you those fucking blessings so that you can.
Absolutely.
At no point are you the reason for the good being put into the world. Now, you are the reason for the fucked up shit. And again, there's absolutely, positively no way this stuff works in reality. If you parented your kids, if you owned your dogs the way, your dogs and your kids would be snatched away from you. If that's how you practice your life in reality. Everything
100%.
good about you is someone else. Everything bad about you is you. So even if that person does save their 10% and helps their neighbor, or God forbid, help themselves, it's still not them. That's the fucked up thing about the church, white, black, otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's doctrinal. It's in the doctrine. First off, it's in the, you know, the commandments, right, that are telling you not to covet, making it a thought crime to want better. When actuality, most of us say, you know, it's good for Uncle Bobby to say, you know what, I want to start, man. I see them guys coming out the tunnel on Friday night, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not about that JV life. You know what I mean? Exactly. And that's what motivates you, right?
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you're evil, that you want something bad, or even at yourself. It just means you want to see what you can do and see what you can get. Then you have Jesus literally coming along, telling his followers, "Yeah, drop everything and follow me." Yeah. Oh, family. No, fuck your father. Fuck your family, follow me. And be willing to give it all away, and I'm going to teach you how to be fishers of men.
Yes, he who loves his brother more than me is not worthy of me. That's in the Bible. That's what Jesus says. If you love your mother more than me, you are not worthy of me. Because I remember bringing that up to a pastor. And of course, I took it out of context. Let me tell you guys something. Nobody on this earth has been, is now, or will ever be more important than my mother. And I said this in my previous show. I gave her flowers while she was still alive, and I'm going to do it still. So if someone tells me, in order to be a part of this club, fuck that bitch, she's dead. Come on, let's party over here. And be like, I don't want to be a part of your club.
Exactly.
That's what Jesus said, gang. If you love your brother more than you love me, you are not worthy of me. It's like, you got it wrong, Jack. You are not worthy of me. That's your problem.
100%. 100%. And we see this in the ministers, right? Like in the Catholic Church, one of the reasons people don't really want to be Catholic, you got to take a vow of poverty. Oh, yeah. You have to be committed to, you know, really living off whatever sustenance the church has for you. And then the thing that's crazy about it is, ironically, it kind of makes the church like parasitic. Like you have these church leaders, they're trying to tell you, you need to be motivated, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to, pay your tithes and offerings and all of this shit. But they don't have real jobs. Like they're not materially contributing to society. They living off 10% of your income. You out there working, he's at home preparing his next sermon series.
It's the ultimate hustle. It's the ultimate hustle.
It is a straight hustle. And even when I worked at a church, like a lot of the young people, it's not even just the pastors, but like you don't realize that a lot of the staff, a lot of times at a church, they're expected to raise their own support. So like I worked at a church, I was like, y'all got to pay me. Like I'm not gonna raise my own support. That's crazy.
Good for you. Hell yeah.
But the other young people that was on staff with me, like they had to go to other churches and like ask for money and ask for money from family, ask for money from friends, ask for money from, people, groups that came to our church. Like that was they were like senators and Congress people, y'all. Yep. They spent a little bit of time doing the song and dance on Sunday morning. And they spent a lot of the rest of their time trying to get them donations because that's what they lived off of. So it's an impoverished mindset, literally with hustlers and grifters on. But
you know how fucked up what you just said is? When Ted Cruz does it, he's called a senator. When a pastor does it, he's called godly. If anyone else does that, they're called lazy. When you live off the system, I mean, God forbid, life has just kicked you in your ass, and it's going to happen to all of us. I'm all about a social safety net, gang. I don't think it should be permanent, but yeah, we should help people that need little fucking help. When someone in real time needs that kind of help, we call them lazy. We call them unmotivated. We say, go get a job. But when a pastor says, you know what, I'm going to jerk Jesus off. You need to give me some money. What? How much is that? Okay, 10% of my income? I'll write this the whole year right now. When Ted Cruz does it, he's fighting for your best interest while living in a multi-million fucking house. Go fuck yourself. In politics and in religion, it's okay. But in real life, you're lazy and unmotivated. Come on, gang. Give me a break. This is a hustle.
Absolutely. And that's the problem we don't realize when it comes to the social contract as well. The pastors benefit from that. So every single time, there's a shooting, and because it's the same playbook, right? There's a shooting, and then the family is weeping, and who is there at the mic at press time with the family? The pastor. He starts the whole thing and ends the whole thing with the prayer. He actually takes the spotlight, and now I'm gonna let the mother speak, and then she'll come in. She'll get like, if she's eloquent, like 3 minutes. If she's not, like 30 seconds, and they'll be like, whoop, back to the side. Now now God is on our side in this thing, and we know the Lord is going to bring us our justice. It's humiliating, yo.
It is bullshit. It is bullshit, and we accept it. All
right, let's roll this fucked up ass tape.
And the second way that toxic black church culture actually harms black people, it lies to vulnerable people. And this is the prosperity doctrine. Prosperity doctrine basically tells us that the more we give is the more God will bless us. Yeah. And so you will see lots of poor people giving money that they don't have because the pastor has told them that it's going to be in their giving that they're going to get something.
Yes.
And people get
Gang, please go fuck yourself. As a young man, one of the most things I did that was celebrated in the church was if it got too good to me, I would actually empty my wallet. Like, that's a thing people do. Gang, there has never been a time in my life as an adult where I have been financially secure enough that I should be emptying my wallet for anything, for anybody at any time. But that's what you will do. It gets so good. You say, God, I'm giving it to you. And you will take whatever's in there, Lord, just take it. Whatever's in there is yours. It's yours. I got enough gas in the car to get home. We'll figure the rest out. Got enough gas in the car to get home. We'll figure the rest out, Jesus. You know, and that's crazy, y'all. But it is just this mentality of you give it to God first and above all else because you have been conditioned to think that that is how you get your needs met. It is really sad. And I also want to say that the pastors that are the most sort of notorious for the prosperity gospel, they have become like rock stars in the black community.
Totally.
You know, the TD Jakeses and the Creflo Dollars, and they're literally in this whole jet set class. But it is poor people who give these ministers almost everything. And not even, I don't even want to exclusively make it about the jet set class. Even if you go into most communities, y'all, the pastor's doing pretty well. A lot of times the pastor does have other employment, another career. You know, he's got his own thing going on. But even if not, they're always taken care of because everybody's taking care of them. So the pastor's got the nice house, he's got the most beautiful wife, and he's got the fanciest car, and he's got the nicest suits, and he don't really seem to wear the same suit more than a couple times a year. You know what I mean? Like that man is always dressed out to the mints. You know, gang, I could take you to my grandfather's church and not show you a beautiful multi-$1,000 robe. I will show you a fucking closet full of them. It's just insane how people who are living hand to mouth at one end and paycheck to paycheck on the other are literally funding this entire class of people.
It's perverted.
It's wild, and that's church universally. That's churches universally, man. Everywhere you go, the people at the top are exploiting everybody else underneath them in the system, and they're not going to give that up. That's what people have to realize. This is why I think, I hate to say, but I think the idea of reforming the church from the inside is dead. You know, I think there may be such thing as you have to go in there and get them fools, right? Like you may need to go in there to get them fools out. But the idea that we are going to make a church that's the type of church we all want to live with, it's just not gonna happen. I'm with you. Burn it down. And at this point, it's just pulling out who you could pull out before that.
It's got to go the way of Rome.
Before they get caught up in the ashes. Yeah,
absolutely.
Emotional with this, and they're in a belief state that the more that they give something, they're going to get this house or they're going to get this car. The conversation around getting your house or getting your car should not be how much money you give to the church, but there should be conversations around financial literacy, knowing what a FICO score is, understanding your debt to income ratio, knowing how late payments actually negatively harm your ability to qualify for a mortgage. Instead of any of that happening, week after week, people are getting the message that if they just continue to give more, they're going to get all these things. And so many of these
and I'm gonna say this too, like this is real serious, and this is some basic financial literacy that should be taught to everybody. I also don't want to put this all in the church. I'm really disappointed that we don't talk more about the way social and economic skills are lacking from our education system, right? Like, you know, we talked the other day about the whole, we were talking in Gather basically about certain things that like politicians know, like the idea that you're supposed to be somewhere on Sunday morning, right? Nobody really cares if you're religious, but it's proper form to be somewhere on Sunday morning so that you can answer the question as to where you worship. But you also learn things like warm smile, firm handshake, how to approach people. I remember being in a scholarship program where we had etiquette dinners. Etiquette dinner is like, here's what etiquette dinner is. It's dinner torture. They're going to serve you a 5 or 6 course meal with all the fancy cutlery. And every course is going to be something that is incredibly challenging to eat. Why? Because they want to make sure that when you go on a job interview, that at a serious career job that might actually take you out to a very nice dinner as part of the interview process, that you are not eating your spaghetti the way you do at home. Let's just say the
Oh,
way
yeah.
you eat spaghetti at home, that's not how you eat spaghetti when you're on the fucking job interview.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
two tines and twist, gang. 2 tines and twist. All right, you got right, because they want to make sure you don't blow it over not
Oh
knowing these
yeah.
things. But
Oh
nobody
yeah.
ever teaches kids that. Nobody ever
Yeah.
just does that as a regular part of being in high school or whatever, right? Nobody ever does the warm smile, firm handshake, how to make a resume, all of that type of stuff, and just basic financial literacy. Like, I'm just saying it should be part of our school system, so I don't want to put that all in church. But what I really paused the tape to say was I've seen churches actually do that type of thing, but it's really fucked up because they put their indoctrination in there. In other words, if they do a financial literacy class, it's going to be to so-called teach you the basics of financial literacy, and it's really going to be to teach you like you really need to tithe. It's really going to be about, well, you know, real financial empowerment starts with you got to give Jesus his 10%. Now you got to give Jesus his 10% because God is, that's how you're going to get blessed. Da, 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 da. And now I'm going to teach you, and then you should save and da, da, da. And then so they'll give you those basics, but not without their own agenda, and that part is often economically crippling because it is really bad financial advice, and it's really not in your best interest to do that.
But that's the problem when you when your belief system is sitting on some bullshit from the start. There within lies the ultimate problem, right? Again, okay, let's say you're going to teach the 10% bullshit. That if there's 25 total lessons, that should be number 27. Right. Again.
Right. Absolutely.
Rule number 1.
Yeah.
The first rule of finance. It is impossible to have profit without loss. So you always have to budget. If you make $100, start at 70. Start at 70 and count backwards. Now, if you can make it work on that 70, that extra 30, that's called gravy. Now we start talking about rainy day funds. Right. Now, now we start talking about, oh, you think that one late payment doesn't mean shit? Well, after about 5 or 6, and then you go and try to qualify for a home loan or auto loan. You see what? Now start teaching real world shit that I remember my dad saying, it's better to go broke with cash than in debt with credit. And he said, if you charge $75, you pay $75 because you're taking money from a bank. That's not yours. And he said, if you can't pay it off, you're stealing. Someone else paid that $70, 75, not you. So if you borrow 75 in January, you pay 75 in February. Start teaching real. Then finally, after all that, you're like, look, if you got some scraps left over, give it to the fucking church. Right. It's one of those, we and let's just keep it on topic. In the Black church, we've got this tremendous opportunity every Sunday to teach our people some real world skills. But instead, we waste that time telling them, you know, you ain't shit, right? You ain't shit. And the little bit of you that's good, that's not even you. That's someone else. Oh, yeah, by the way, open up your goddamn wallet and give me some goddamn money. And you know what? Suffer your monkey ass off.
Right.
And then after you die, I was told the exact same thing. You're going to get a mansion in heaven. Again, that is so fucked up to tell poor people, and in our case, poor Black people, please continue to live in your rundown shack.
Absolutely.
After you die. Real fast before, I got to say this one. The guy that married me and my ex-wife, I obviously don't agree with the whole Christianity thing, but if anyone lived the life, it was this guy. That fucker had one suit. And when he bought it in 1984, it was already 5 years outdated. His church was his house. I'm not joking.
Yeah, I know about
it. And how it passed any kind of inspection, I have no idea. But this fucker loved preaching. The only time he ever ate out is when his congregation would take him to like Luby's. And the running joke was, make sure you're first in line. Because when he started blessing the food at 3:00, at 3:30, he's still going. And it's like, that fucker lived. I don't agree, but I respect his commitment. Unlike the T.D. Jakes, the Creflo Dollars, the Joel Osteens, the Joyce Meyers. Yeah, you are a multimillionaire because middle class and lower middle class people fit the bill. Bill. Go fuck yourself. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to say this because I know this might hit some people the wrong way, but let me just be clear about this. No church is a social services organization.
Not at all.
Not a single one. Not a single one. Right? If they really wanted to be a nonprofit, they'd be a nonprofit. Right? If you really had something to bring to the table, if you really want to run a soup kitchen, run a soup kitchen. You know, you really want to impress me with your, business development center, then be a business development center. The church is the church, and they're going to spend, if you do the math, they're going to spend 80 to 90% of their resources on church shit. Services, staff, the sound system, the building fund, the fucking building fund, all that shit. But what we do, and this is just larger church culture in America, we fall for the okie doke. We're like, oh well, look, they do this, they run the soup kitchen one day a month and give people, and then the church always is giving people the most like off-brand, low quality stuff. The church not gonna hook you up with the nice shit. Let's just be clear on that. But that's why, because they want to do everything on the cheap and they do everything with their leftovers. I think most churches, the probably way to see them is that community service is their tithes. They don't pay their taxes. They don't. So they're gonna be willing to give away a little 5 to 10% monthly. Plus, that stuff helps their PR and allows them to evangelize. Right. That's really all they're doing. They're like, look, how do you find poor, marginalized people to evangelize to? Oh, I know. Let's run a soup kitchen. Let's have an AA meeting in the congregation. Let's do it. So you have to really look at why they're doing those things. It's just very cheap PR. Right? But people be falling for the okie doke. They just want to tell you all about all the good things the church is doing in the community. And I'm like, no, what you need to be thinking about is what good could be done in the community if we had all that money. Not just the little scraps they want to give us at the end.
Exactly.
Churches just breadcrumbs congregants, lets them believe that just coming there every week and praying is going to change their situation without actual actions. Faith without works is dead. Number 3, a third way that toxic Black church culture actually harms Black people is that there is no critical thinking. Critical thinking is actually frowned upon. Because I remember being a little girl and saying to myself, like, how did this boat hold all these people, all these animals, all these things? How did this happen?
That's exactly what I said.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep. What did Noah do with all the poop?
Exactly.
10 minutes
it's a simple
later,
question.
If you keep saying this, you are going to go to hell and you'll never see your mother ever again. Fine, but you haven't answered the fucking question. Right? Again, that's exact. And she, again, could not be more correct. Yeah. The church frowns upon critical thinking because its main energy source is ignorance.
Absolutely.
Are you aware 100%. That it is literally scientifically impossible for 2 butt-naked teenagers to fuck this world into 8 billion people? That's not how it works. If you ask that question again, you're going to go to hell. I mean, come on. In what universe is that acceptable? Again, right. She absolutely nailed it. It's not that it frowns upon critical thinking. It punishes critical thinking. God forbid. Again, it is one thing I've noticed in my travels, especially early as an atheist. Any question that can't be answered by, well, God just said so, or did you read the book of John? They consider not a legitimate question. He says, like, look, your Bible straight up says to kill gay people. Well, God says to love people, so that should be good enough. You haven't answered the question. Leviticus 18:22 clearly states that you are to throw rocks at gay people until they're dead.
Till they're dead,
And there's
yeah.
nowhere in the Bible, there in Bible in 2.0, where God says, yeah, ooh, that was fucked up.
Right.
You need to answer for that. Well, as long as you believe in Jesus, you're going to go to heaven. That's not what I asked you. That's not what. Ignorance is their fuel source. Just like the human brain, its main fuel source is carbohydrates. The church's main energy source is ignorance. Don't you dare ask the question past God loves you. Anything after that, you're a heathen, aren't you? You want to go to hell, don't you? Again, I the fact that she asked a Noah's Ark question just like I did, I couldn't let that pass.
Yeah, it's also again, like, maybe when you're privileged, maybe when you're, I don't know, because I've never been super rich or anything like that, but maybe when you are a little bit of recreational ignorance or, you know, recreational persecution or suffering from time to time is a healthy outlet. I don't seem to understand. But when you are down there at the bottom of the social hierarchy and ladder, you need the truth. And this is why I really do believe that Christianity, I could say all religions, but especially Christianity in America, is inherently bad for black people. And because, again, hashtag black people deserve the truth. And Christianity just won't let you do it. And it matters, gang. I'm going to just use the example that's most familiar to me as an evolutionary biologist. And so, of course, that's evolution. But Christians understand that they're supposed to believe in creation. And as a result of believing in creation, they're supposed to not believe in evolution or despise evolution. Yep. So, gang, what do you think the probability is that most black Christians actually study evolutionary biology? It's incredibly fucking low, which is why I feel very lucky, to be honest with you. But evolution happens to be what, gang? The core theory underlying all modern biology. Yep. So how far are you going to get in biology if you don't accept evolution? Not very far at all. Exactly. Not very far at all. Exactly. And we could say the same thing about, you know, astrobiology and how are you going to become, you know, I was part of the McNair Scholarship Program. Ronald McNair was an astronaut, gang. How are you going to become an astronaut without learning about the actuals and the factuals of the universe and the way it works and what we need for space travel and how to engineer a spaceship? You can't learn none of that without critical thinking. You can't learn any of that and still take the Bible as true. How are you going to become a critical historian and then tell people that you think Noah's Ark really happened, Jesus actually rose from the dead and appeared to 500 people, and I mean how and Pontius Pilate was like, I can't find anything wrong with him. But if y'all want to kill him, that must I mean, like, so this is what I'm saying, gang. Like, you can't do this. You just can't do this. We need education, and so she's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
And name real fast.
Go ahead.
Name a scenario where education is worse than ignorance.
Exactly.
Name one.
Exactly.
Yeah, again, yeah. Come on, roll the fucked up ass tape.
I'm with it.
Question God. If you have an inability to critically think, how can you strategically plan to dismantle racism, to dismantle white supremacy, to dismantle social conditions that keep us down? How can you do that? Because if you cannot critically think, you cannot analyze information, synthesize that information, and strategically implement that information in order to obtain a better life. Number 4, the fourth way that toxic black church culture actually hurts black people is that the toxic judgment and hierarchy. And so this toxic judgment that is really picking and choosing what we don't like and what we consider a sin, to me, is very exclusionary. The fifth way that
All right, hang on. Before she gets
Pause
to the
the
fifth
tape.
way. Yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah. Again, I know this is supposed to be just kind of quote unquote about us, but this is all churches.
Yeah.
Where
Yes.
my family is from, think of a cul-de-sac. Think of a cul-de-sac. In New Roads, the outer rim of the cul-de-sac, that's still to this day. I was just home 3 weeks ago. That's the white side of town. So the cul-de-sac, outside the cul-de-sac is False River. There's homes that, are 2 stories. The bottom story has a boat launching deck. It's fucking beautiful and peaceful. Inside the cul-de-sac is a manhole cover. That's the black side of town. I completely forgot what the fuck did she just say?
The judgment.
Okay, I think let me see if I can tie this shit together. I completely got lost in the home analogy. But inside where the manhole cover is, that's the black side. That's where I remember I was going. Good job, alcohol. There's 2 churches in New Roads, Louisiana. On the outside, right here, as you drive into town, is the white church. The manhole cover, if my aunt's house is here, there's a graveyard where the black people are buried, and across it is the black church. What she said affects both churches. I think that was my point in that analogy.
Got you. Yeah.
Right. Again, we are teaching people bullshit in 2023. And again, it affects the black church, the Mexican church, the Asian church. It affects us all. Again, the God proposition, white, black, green, or otherwise, is always one pronoun away from you picking up your phone and calling me.
Right.
Do you guys have any idea how many times a day I hear, bitch, you ain't shit. You ain't shit. You think you deserve this house, 4,000 square feet? You don't deserve it. I should whip your ass. Now, again, go on in there. And boy, I truly hope you get the ice cubes right this time. Because if you don't, I'm going to fuck you up. And you know what? You deserve it. Get the ice cubes right. Well, how many do you want? I'm not going to tell you. You already know it. How is this acceptable? White church, black church, Mexican church, Korean church, Chinese church. How is this acceptable? In any other realm, gang, this is just all. I just went off on a tangent. But just know that this is all kinds of fucked up. And it affects the white church as it does the black church.
Absolutely. So what I was thinking is the judgment is so screwed up too because it occupies so much of religious people's brain space that they can't look at other things. So one of the things I've really noticed when I started paying attention to what the church is preaching about is that it's all made up problems and they don't preach about real problems. So you have all these sermons about the sin of lust and the sin of jerking off and, everybody should be, what were you doing? Hey, Sunday morning's a great time to get people because what do they feel guilty about? Whatever they were doing Saturday night. Last night you was drinking and you was smoking and you was in the club and you were grinding on somebody's booty and all of this type of shit. And they preach about this shit almost every fucking week. Or you're not giving enough to the church, all of this. They're not preaching about, y'all know we could end child poverty right now, but the fucked up politicians won't stop playing bullshit games. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They don't ever have any capacity for it. This is why so many people became disaffected with the church over COVID. We had a real-time case study. Some shit has just shut down the whole world. And side effects may include death, motherfuckers. Matter of fact, right? Millions of people have died. And all we need to do is, keep a little distance. People need to work from home from right now if you can. We got to wear masks. When it's your turn, it's time. You got to get this vaccine, on and on to the break of dawn. And the church opposed every single measure, every single time. And so That's the problem. But them same people wanted to get together, and then they wanted to talk about, well, how many of us are willing to speak out and be bold against the LGBT, the G, the B, the T, the Q, the I, and the A? How many of y'all were lusting after your neighbors?
Exactly.
And what happens is you buy into this. My mother shared a narrative with me about basically her mentality when she was growing up and how she saw herself in relation to her peers. And it was very clear that she was just judgy. Like, there were those girls, she didn't say those fast girls who was messing around with boys, right? But she only liked the cute boys who were nice and, wanted to help her with her homework and all of this bullshit, right? And it's like you build your whole identity as I'm a good person because of what I do. When I lay down in the bed with my husband in the missionary position and we make love as a married couple, God loves that. God is just in the room, over in the corner with the Holy Spirit, applauding us. Oh, this is just how I intended it to be. But those people who are just hooking up with some stranger after they met at the club last night, those people are all sorts of fucked up, and they're going to hell, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And so they spend all of their time judging people for being wrong about shit that nobody thinks is actually wrong. Exactly. And then when shit hits the fan, shit is going down. There is money to be raised and lives to be saved. These motherfuckers are nowhere to be found.
But when you talked about COVID, you will find few people who took COVID more seriously than I did. And I always said, who knew that the way to end COVID was to be me,
right? Home alone.
I was like, business. My boss is going to pay me money to stay at home. I Clorox bleach everything short of my toothbrush anyway. So I'm like, what seems to be the problem? Yeah,
I'm the same way.
And so when the COVID thing, and I saw the church kick back, and I was like, you know what? It's like, why solve a real world problem for free when you can sell a make believe one, right? It's like, you know what? Did you jerk off yesterday? You 10%, motherfucker. You need 25%. Who the fuck jerks off? What's wrong with you? Right? But when the church had the opportunity, say, you know what? Jesus wants us all to live to see the next day. Let's all do a Zoom session. If we just really need the religion, let's do a Zoom session. We can still worship God in the safety of our living rooms. Make sure you get the vaccine, wash your hands, wear a mask. Hold on. Okay, Jesus just told me that we should be COVID by following the scientifically put down guidelines. But no, when the church had the opportunity to say, you know what, let's get together and let's make this better for all parties involved, they shit on it. Again, Absolutely. It's like, why solve a real world problem for free when I can charge you 10% to help you solve a make believe problem?
Absolutely. And
fuck that, man.
And I also believe that they have the anticipation problem of their whole apocalyptic worldview. So here's what I mean. One of the good things about being a regular musician, let's say you part of a church band like me, you just gig on every Sunday. There's an inevitability of that performance time. Sunday morning is going to arrive. You are going to need to be prepared, and you are going to have to perform, or else your ass is going to be embarrassed on stage in front of everyone. And so there's this elevated escalation that comes with everything. You're early in the week, you're just listening to the songs, you're chilling, you're practicing, you hear them at the gym, it's all good. But as you start getting closer to Wednesday and Thursday, you're like, oh shit, I gotta be ready for fucking rehearsal. So rehearsal comes and you're like, oh shit, okay, shit's kind of getting real. I only got a couple days till we actually gotta perform. Then when you fucking in the performance, you start doing that fucking sound check. You're like, oh shit, it's sound check. We gotta tune this shit. Shit is about to get real. Then you take that pre-service shit. You were just trying to get all that nervous energy out of your body. And then what happens? It is fucking go time. Now, what is the point I'm building at, y'all? There are these little signs all the way that get you to really anticipate, oh shit, it's about to really go down. And Uncle Bobby, you could say the same thing, right?
Yep,
You start at the you just finished the last game, so you're not even a football player anymore. Your job is to watch football, sit in the room and watch film and do all this stuff and review and have meeting. But no. Then eventually you got oh shit, I'm back in the gym. Oh, we getting ready for next week. Oh shit, we in practice. You know what I'm saying? Then you'll see the scrimmages get a little bit more intense, I assume, as you get throughout the week, right? Then fucking Saturday morning, you're asking hardly sleep. Fucking Friday night, you fucking stadiums full of people. You can fucking hear them shits. You're in there trying to get your fucking equipment on, and you know it's about to go down.
Yep. No question.
And honestly, gang, that's why the Christians are useless when tragedy strikes. Right? Because think about it. They always say you should live in interesting times. I'm like, you know what? Fucking a pandemic, wars, economic recession, the Supreme Court taking all our rights. I wish I lived in slightly less interesting times.
Oh, yeah.
But the Christians see that as it's about to go down. Oh, COVID is real. Oh, that COVID shit struck. Do you want to give your life to Jesus now? Do you want to give your life to Jesus now? There's war in Ukraine. Do you want to give your life to Jesus now? Do you want to give your life to Jesus now? Oh, people are impoverished. Do you want to give your life to Jesus now? Like, right, every tragedy, right, that strikes, instead of helping us, they're oh, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Now's the time. Yep. Isn't that fucked up?
It's
and I would say no one owes you anything. And I'll be the first to say no one owes me anything. But people showed me incredible kindness when I lost my mom.
It's great.
There were two people in particular. And again, I live in the Bible Belt. So I just emotionally budgeted for the knee jerks of I'm praying for you. So it's their way of saying I'm thinking about you during a hard time. Now, there were two people in particular. Again, I'm not stupid. I know that's people's go-to, but they took my mother's passing as their opportunity to bait a hook. And quite literally like, are you ready to turn to Jesus? And I was like, you need to step away from me. You tragedy fucking pimp. Did you really just use the death of my mom to try to get me to convert back? What the fuck is that? Happened with two people. And I literally told them, you need to take a couple steps back. That's fucking disgusting.
Absolutely.
So the death of someone's parent, COVID, just really dark time. But the fucked up thing is, and I've said this with people before that, have converted. You ever notice how God never just shows up on a random Tuesday? Like, hey, here I am.
Right.
It's the straight guy named Frank who's in the back of a 7-Eleven sucking John's dick. Like, you are going to tell me when you come, right? Because he needs $5 for crack rock. It's a person doing a 17-year stretch for a fucking crime, and they got nothing else to do but bust rocks and pray to. You ever notice how God just never shows up on a random day and be like, are you ready to accept me? It's always when you don't got, let's rewind this shit almost an hour and a half ago. When you are a slave and every day of your life fucking blows, the only thing that they can sell you is the next one's going to be better.
Absolutely.
And that, I mean, how, again, COVID, slavery, death of a parent, God can never just show up when there's $1 million in a bank. You just got laid. Your body works good. No, he always seems to strike when you ain't got shit else. So, I mean, that is fucked up. Fucked up.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Toxic black church culture harms black people.
All right, number 5.
Generations of black women single.
Let's do it.
What?
One,
oh, wow.
they give you this totally unrealistic partner that you are supposed to be praying to God for. So every time this woman brings a potential date to the church to meet her pastor, he's never good enough, because even if he ticks everything on the box, he's gainfully employed, he loves his mama, he treats women people well,
what did I say?
He has children. Oh, but he's not saved. And then if he is saved, oh, but he doesn't go to church every Sunday. He doesn't speak in tongues. Oh, you unequally yoked. All this stuff has been
what did I say?
Absolutely. Single. Why? Holy black women are free labor most of the time at their church. People are coming to clean the church. People are coming to feed the kids. People are coming to put things
This
in
is so
boxes. It's
true.
a whole ecosystem.
And gang, please go fuck yourself. What is our favorite part about the black church? A lot of times it is this group of older single women. They're the missionaries. They're the church mothers. Everybody likes them because they're everybody's secondary grandmother. But you got one of your grandmother per 9 women up in here that ain't married. This shit works.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, okay, I gotta laugh. So just so you guys know, I haven't seen this.
Yeah,
I have not seen this. And so this is exactly what I said about an hour and 5 minutes ago when I became single. And they said, he's like, look, you're not a Christian. You have cut your dating potential down to almost nothing. They weren't joking. They weren't joking. Again, there's nothing you can put on your resume that will undo your one quote unquote bad quality, and that is you aren't saved. And I see the squid in the side chat, and she's absolutely right. And that's the fucked up thing. Not just the worst gossips, squid, some of the worst fucking people attend the church the most and the most religiously. True story.
Absolutely.
When I did my recruiting visits, I canceled Florida because I was tired. I was fatigued. But Texas, Brigham Young, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech. Some of the rumors about the recruiting process, gang, are absolutely true. If you don't get laid on a recruiting trip, it's because you're not trying. Let's just say you don't have to put a lot of energy into it. You spend 5 minutes talking about academics, and then you spend the rest of the 48 hours you're there trying to get laid. And it was on the Brigham Young visit. I didn't do anything, but let's just say my opportunities were infinite. Abundant. And I still remember what stuck out the most to the squid's point. They're the worst gossips. I'm going to one up you, squid. Most times, they're the worst people. And I remember I was in a club in Provo, Utah. And I think the most hardcore song they played was Come On, Eileen. And and the girls were lining up to fuck me. And the one that had the most interest, I obviously was not budging. I was like, this just doesn't feel right. And she said, look, you need to make up your mind. Because if something happens, it needs to happen fast because I got to be at Temple here, in the morning. And I was like, okay, if you're trying to seal the deal, you just fucking crunched it. Right. She literally said, look, if something's going to happen, it needs to hurry up now because I need to go to Temple in the morning. Be at church in the morning. But then you're going to go to Temple and say, I'm saving myself for John Smith. And it's like, what
absolutely
shit is that? So again, it's kind of like Douse does protest too much. Right. It's not that they're the worst gossips. Jesus is there for those who need him. I'm so horrible. I'm a fucked up ass person. Well, go to church. It'll make you feel better about yourself. But the fucked up thing is you're not bad. You just want to do some fucking. And there's nothing wrong with fucking.
And I was thinking about
problems.
I was thinking about too, like how my lifestyle didn't change that much from going to from Christian to non-Christian. And that's part of the reason why, because we're all stuck in that vicious cycle. I wasn't really fucking any less or smoking any less weed as a Christian. I was just feeling guilty about it on Sunday morning or actually feeling guilty about it a lot, and I had worked through that at some point. Like I just got to a point where I was just like, fuck it. I just accepted that this is where I'm at in life. And that's how so many people are. Like literally because homegirl wasn't playing. She knew. She's like, look, Robert, really?
Yeah,
look,
let's rock. Let's do this.
I'm trying to have a Saturday night, but I do also have to have a Sunday morning, and you messing around with these girls, they ain't got shit to do tomorrow. We gonna get to this or not. And it's just like that's the fucking calendar. The other funny thing that reminds me of is pastors love to embarrass their wives. That's one of the things pastors love to do. They love to talk about how their wife was all types of names we shouldn't say on YouTube, and then until they met him,
Oh, yeah.
right? And then and
Oh,
he accepted her sinfulness, right? I love that story, right? Where the man talks about how like he accepted his wife even though she
How
had a
fucked up is
past, and
that?
that was
Oh,
just
Jesus.
that was just all sorts of fucked up for him. But he had to accept. But anyway, this pastor was playing that he loved to talk about how his wife would just before they met or whatever, until she met him, how she would just literally be out at the club partying all Saturday night with her girlfriends, and she just liked to go to church on Sunday morning to get her some Jesus, so she could feel a little bit better out of herself. So he would just always say this. He said this so many times, it's like I can't even count. But he loved to just say that in front of the whole congregation. But it's just, that's how much everybody knows this is a thing. It's just.
But you ever notice how it's not the other way around? I remember when I was, a younger
Oh yeah, it's never
Christian,
Yeah.
that, it was, guys, do you really want to wear a pair of shoes that 500 other guys have? It smells bad. The tongue is literally worn out. The sole, has got a hole. Is that the shoe you want to buy? Or do you want to be the first person to ever put your feet in those? Do you want a piece of bubble gum that has been chewed by a whole bunch it's lost its ability to, stick to something, doesn't have any flavor left? And you're just like, no one ever said that to the girls about the boys.
The worst.
Yeah, and again, you're right. It's like, I accepted my wife even though she was a fucking whore. She was the whore of Babylon. She was terrible. But then, she came to Jesus. And so now I'm the only one who gets to fuck her. And just like, it's never the other way around.
Yeah.
It's never, the standard we have for women in the church is totally different than we don't have one for the dudes.
And speaking of that, look at Squid's point here. They get in line to sleep with the pastor and will judge and admonish every young single woman that comes to the church. And I'm going to tell you what it looks like, too, from the other side. And a lot of people probably know this, but you will be in the pastor's office, and the pastors will be openly talking about the women. Right? Now, there are some pastors who, at least they're trying to play it straight so they don't engage in that type of talk. But look, I'm going to just put it this way. Whatever Donald Trump says is locker room talk. Again, locker room talk is, you just let your man beat you, and we're not going to win this game. So when we go there in the second half, you're going to have to stop this motherfucker. Also, you're the safety. You're supposed to play over the top. I swear to God, if he scores another touchdown, then we're fucked. That is locker room talk. But what Donald Trump calls locker room talk is actually pastor's office talk. Pastor's office talk is who's wearing what and what you already know you could do who to and what you're doing, what you did. Pastor, what locker room talk is pastor's office talk? To Squid's point, their pastors in the office talking about the women.
Click on Ryan Cultastics. We're always compared to objects. Click on that one. You see it?
Yeah.
That right there. It is the summation of what it is that you just said. That, again, dudes, you can run wild.
Right.
But then we do compare our sisters to objects. Because God forbid a woman have a healthy sexual appetite. She's a shoe. She's a used car. She's a pair of jeans. It's like, how many more inanimate objects can we compare a woman to who has, natural and healthy desires? God forbid that a woman loves to do a little fucking. Yeah, Ryan, I had to call that one out. That right there
100%
summarize exactly what you just said, bud.
And then to the content creator's point, then they're using that to say, but you also simultaneously need to have this impossibly high standard of what's an acceptable male partner, such that you'll never actually you really won't have one. This is crazy. All right, and I'm gonna let her finish, and then we'll have time to wrap.
Built around the black church, and that ecosystem is built on free labor. I remember I used to go to church, and I was married at the time, and I would see these young, beautiful black women, and they were all single. And I thought to myself, why are these women all single? They all had this unrealistic expectation about the man that they thought they should end up with. And then secondly, They were always in church every time the church doors open. How? How are you supposed to find a life partner when you always at church? When do you have time to ever design a life that you desire and attract the people into that life that you deserve? So I don't want this video to be too long. Let me know in the comments section, is there anything that I left out about church culture? And so if this resonated with you,
Oh, hell
again,
yeah. All right. So now we can have a discussion. So
Hold on, just leave.
For it,
No, put her picture back up. That was
put her back up. Hang on.
Oh,
I got it.
Yeah, just
okay. Oh, you want me to just leave her picture there? Just leave her picture there. All right. So I will say this.
Pretty good looking.
On number 5, she threw me for a loop. I just wasn't expecting her to talk about how it keeps black women single. I just most of them were like dead on. And I was like, well, say what? No, she was right. It was a good point. I just wasn't expecting it. I was like, she just like, it was a surprise. It was like a turn. It was like a plot twist. Like
the first
twist.
thing I thought of when she said that was, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. Again, chasing that ridiculous standard. Right. Again, if he's not a Christian, then you can't date him. Yeah, but of the 10 boxes that I really need checked, and if number 10 is a Christian, he checks 9 of them. Well, you can't fucking date him. Fuck that bullshit. Yeah, but he loves me. He likes me. He respects me. He bends over backwards to make me happy. He's got a good job. When we disagree. We don't fight. He's fucking perfect. Bitch, is he a Christian? Well, no, he's not a Christian. Then you can't date him. What kind of fucked up shit is that? Now sit there and let me compare you to a used Converse high top.
Right.
If you are not finding the mate within, Mount Zion First Baptist Church, they won't let you go out and find someone else. And even when you find that someone else, he's not good enough because he doesn't go to Mount Zion First Baptist Church. She's right. They keep you single because of that fucked up ass standard.
Right.
And for the guys, it's the exact opposite.
Which also seems to serve to keep you available to them, right? In their service, their needs, whether it just be serving the church or having a pool of single women and you know what I mean, who are sexually available when they want them, right? Because of course that all gets swept under the rug. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on the purity culture aspect. 2 women that were shamed to virginity, being over 35. I actually speak sometimes about like basically I consider a girl I was probably dating, but we were friends and let's say we spent a lot of time together. But like it was a whole situation where it was a non-starter because I was an atheist, and it was really problematic because it shows you when there are times in your life where you're a good match with somebody, right? And it's hard to find a good match in life. Like it's hard to find people you should be with, but it's even hard to find people that you should even give it a shot with, right? Like it's and it's a real disappointment when that doesn't happen. But yeah, a lot of it, we don't think of that type of waiting and purity culture and all of that as costly, but it's very costly to people. And I had to be honest, like it hurt. Like it hurt to actually be in a super, like what felt like a super healthy situation with somebody, know that person likes you and is attracted to you, know that everybody in your mutual lives accepts your relationship, thinks you guys are great together, you're genuinely friends, like someone I genuinely talk to all day, every day, spent, quality time with several times a week, all of this. And she freaked out when I kissed her on the cheek, gang. Freaked out to the point that I was like, never kiss that woman on the cheek again because you clearly caused irreparable harm to her. But it's the message. It was being bought into that cult, and it is consequential. And so I think it's very toxic. It's very harmful. Now there is something I wanted to mention that didn't come up. She mentioned the judginess and the way Christians are sort of critical of everybody. And you just have to leave it there a lot because Christians are judgy about everything. The black church makes you feel guilty literally about existing, actually, though. So, you know, that's a long list. It's a very long list. But I think I feel like one of the things that has to be said, and again, it could apply to all churches. I feel that way about the video. I feel like this was a good video. She touched on a few things that were actually unique to the black church, and then touched on mostly issues that are just kind of common in churches, but how they manifest sort of in a black church context, which I think is great. That's fine. That's why I picked this. It was kind of it was a different thing to do. But one of the things I want to talk about is sort of like what feels like unique anti-LGBTQ messaging in the black community. And again, that's something that's in all churches, in every church, but it feels like given the centrality of the black church and the black community and how crazy everybody's identity is attached to that, it's like especially strong because this church is especially central. So church ideas are especially important. And then it's all sorts of alienating for the queer community. And it feels like that is particularly strong prejudice, where even as you see, I hate to say it, more and more white churches become queer accepting. I'm not, again, y'all know me, I don't think there is such thing as a progressive queer accepting, you know, true gospel message. So it is what it is. But that is better than the alternative. And you don't see this a lot. You don't see a lot of black churches becoming queer accepting. I mean, I even had I was in a church once that I wouldn't say was queer accepting formally because they never spoke up. They were never affirming, I guess is the way I would put it. But they were queer, like accepting on the low, right? Because there was just a lot of queer people in the congregation and everybody knew that and nobody gave a shit. But there was one Sunday I actually wasn't playing. I was on sound. That was kind of like my deal, like where that church had a ton of great musicians. So when I wasn't playing drums, I was usually on the soundboard. And this guest preacher got up there and he literally did a sermon about how many of us are going to be true in our faith and bold enough to speak out against the all this, like, and he just did a typical like anti-queer sermon, and I just like was so uncomfortable. And so I remember like I actually didn't turn in that sermon. Like I basically held on to it, and I had a meeting with the fucking pastor so I could like squash it, like because I didn't like the job was to record the sermons and then you turn them over and then they get put on the church's website, and I was like, nope, this is not. I don't think this to get on our website. And so I met with the pastor and I was like, well, he was a guest and it wasn't really part of your series, so I was like, I don't think, and I told him I was like, I don't think we should put this up there.
No, for us. It's always been kind of a minority within the minority.
Exactly.
And I put it on the same vein as black people in mental health. If you're my age, again, I did, you know, a little joke
Bobby,
about
that's
it.
a great one that should have been on the list.
Oh, yeah, but it's, you know, we don't have time for mental illness. Do you know how many fucking problems we have as just black people? So those were white people problems. Gen X, black people, if there's one in the side chat, you remember that. We don't got time for that bullshit. Those are white people problems. Then it's like, if you've got a daughter, it's like, I think I like girls. It's like, bitch, shut the fuck up. We don't got time for that homosexuality bullshit. And so it wasn't just swept under the rug. It was given the fucking finger, right? And that spilled over into the church, and it kind of spills over into now. So yeah, the anti-LGBTQ plus sermons, I think they do ring a little bit stronger and harder in the black churches because, again, if you're my age or older, you didn't have time for that. You did not have time for that. There was no counseling. There was no, someone to sign off that your son or daughter are actually transgender. Yeah, let's move forward. I was like, I'm trying to keep this fucker alive.
Right.
So
there's a lack of those other resources, right? That can help that community. And so that's why it's especially problematic.
It was non-existent.
Right.
Again, it's like I am trying to keep my black kid alive in a world that is so desperately trying to kill this fucker off. Now, you want me to talk about bipolar mood disorder and being a gay person? No, we don't got time for that.
Yeah.
We ain't got time for that. So it rang true in the black churches.
Yeah, even in my own journey where I've been fortunate enough to have a lot of mental health services, it wasn't because my fucking family knew how to handle it, and they did try to have an intervention. Like they tried to when a bipolar person smokes weed, like they literally thought they could sit me down with a bunch of ministers who literally started talking to me, gang, about their crack to Christ stories.
Oh,
right.
Jesus.
So as like a college person who just like smokes some weed, happens to be a bipolar, I'm not relating to that. Gang, I dipped out of that shit. I was like, nope. I literally left that, went outside to smoke a bowl.
What was that, Pastor? I can't.
Yeah, I was like,
I
was like, what y'all put me through was some stressful, traumatic shit. I need to go smoke. This is fuck out of here. Out of here.
Oh, absolutely.
But that's what I'm saying. Like they literally try because there's no mental health. You always have a sin problem. It's always a sin problem. Yep. You always have a lack of Jesus problem, and so. Always. That is the issue with the queer community. That's also the issue with people with mental health issues. That's also the issues with just regular ass people who, they want to have a list of sins about, So, yeah, I'm glad we did this video, man. This was
this was a good one.
This was definitely a good one. When does football season start, Uncle Bobby? So we can make sure we're ready for that.
For college, we are, I think, 46 days.
Oh, he's got the countdown.
Yeah, I only know that because one of my followers is a huge UT Longhorn football fan, and starting literally like 99 days, he'll find 4 people that wear the jersey that goes hand in hand with the number of days. And
wow,
I think today he posted like Jake Ellinger, the guy who passed away a couple of years ago. And when he found me on Twitter, now I always make the 40th day list. So
that was your number 40.
Up there.
Yeah.
So that's how long we have until college football. So we're at like 46 or 47 days.
Oh, by the way, I think that is an awesome idea. There are some things people do that just go, being a fan is the coolest thing in the world. And that is like cool ass thing a fan does. That is awesome.
I remember my mom, because my entire career is boiled down to one play. And for a while there, it got just a little bit annoying because like that was 20 years ago. I'm doing other things now. Right. And I remember talking to my mom about it. And she was like, you know what? It's better to be known for that than the guy who did, something real fucked up to a co-ed. If someone wants to pay you a compliment for what you did 20 years ago, sit down, shut the fuck up, nod your head, and you say thank you. And so, when a fan, bombards you on Twitter or something, it's like, I remember you. Yeah, thank you so much. It is nice to be remembered for something positive. So
also
fan interactions are cool.
There's this cool thing when you go through when your identity kind of changes. So for instance, for me coming up, I did a lot in school. I did a ton of extracurriculars. I was involved in a lot of things, but I identified as a drummer, right? So that was my thing. If we were on a field trip, I would walk up to you, hi, I'm Jay, I'm the drummer. That was it. That was like what you needed to know about me. And there came a point when I was in grad school where I was dating certain people and I was going through a period where I hadn't been playing. And I thought to myself, I remember it hit me, I was like, damn, like me and this person are in a whole ass relationship. They're in love with me. They've never heard me play drums.
Oh yeah.
Right? I'm somebody else. I'm a scientist. I'm whatever they interview, that part. And so I was just gonna say that to you. You are fucking Uncle Bobby. You are the badass counter apologist, YouTube ass kicker. So that's who we know. And then you just like have stories about playing football. So you've actually full ass transition, and you're obviously your job and all, and your training and all that shit's awesome too. But you should just know that to us, you're like a fucking YouTube star.
Yeah, and thank you so much. And no, seriously, I said this a couple shows ago, and I was like, I'm so used to people saying, you know what, could you shut the fuck up with your opinions? And now people are like, we need more of your opinions. And so again, I will take my mother's advice on this and say thank y'all, because I did this just to rant, just to get shit off my chest, and I don't sleep anyway. I was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And yeah, being known as a kick-ass counter apologist, even though all I say is shut the fuck up, I will take it. And I say thank all of y'all who continue to click on my videos and watch me rant like a moron at 2:00 in the morning, one eye open, stank coffee breath and all. Thank y'all so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Truly.
yeah, it's awesome. Same here, man. Love the gang. Love having an audience. Really appreciate people watching us and checking out our videos. So that's like 33 viewers here or something. So thank you all so much for watching. That's super
Perfection.
cool. For everybody that doesn't make it but checks it out later, we really appreciate it. Go ahead, drop us a like, a comment, and a subscribe. There are links for myself and Uncle Bobby down in the description. Also, make sure you're like doing the offline things, like joining our Discord. We've been getting like a bunch of videos in both of our Discords, and so you will start to see us cover things on the show that just come from viewers, because people drop really great suggestions. So definitely go ahead and do that, and you can who knows, you'll probably see us cover one of your videos on an episode. So thank you all so much, and the big and the medium guy have held you long enough.
We're signing the fuck off.